Is credit card debt ruining your life? Hi, I'm Mary Amoroso, and this is Real Life. We Americans love our credit cards. The average American family carries a balance of $4,000 on several cards from month to month, and household debt is at a record high relative to disposable income. Credit cards can lead you to shopaholism, though, and make you feel very badly about yourself. Today we want to talk about out-of-control debt and what you can do about it. As we go to break, viewers, are you deep in credit card debt? Give us a call. We'll be right back.
I have had problems with credit cards. I had one particular credit card where I made a mistake writing the check and I was 3 cents off, and the charge for that was $30. Needless to say, I canceled the credit card. I think that some of these fees are outrageous and exorbitant, and some of these credit card companies are thieves.
They're all a pack of thieves. No. Credit card debt, is it ruining your life? That is our topic today. We have been chatting with Anne, who is an admitted overspender. She's taking control of her money and her budget through Debtors Anonymous. And we are now joined by debt management expert Scott Bilker, author of Credit Card and Debt Management, publisher of Debt Smart magazine, and creator of the website debtsmart.com. How you doing, Scott? It's nice to see you.
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me back on your show, Mary.
And before we get into any further conversation, I should let you know that Scott has brought along some freebies for us to give away. The first of 3 callers who ask for Scott's book will get a copy along with debt management software. And we've got a whole stack of your Debt Smart magazine to give away, so ask for those as well. Now, Anne has been to Debtors Anonymous, and I think you've told my producers you rather think of yourself as providing a sort of debtors autonomous program. Okay, so tell me the difference here.
Now, Debtors Anonymous is a great program because when you get involved with other people who have the same concerns and are working through that. My philosophy is I don't like to tell people how to spend their money. And I like to believe that we can be empowered ourselves to take care of things, which Debtors Anonymous also does. They empower everyone too. But my first approach would be to look within, to look at your current credit card bills and start getting organized and looking to save money. But you know, more heads are better than one, so it's great to get involved with a program like Debtors Anonymous and get the kind of results that Anne has, and she's done a great job.
Yeah, it's wonderful. We're going to go to the phones. We've got somebody on the line who feels like he's in over his head, right, Jim?
That's correct.
Okay, how much in credit card debt are you?
I'm looking at about $13,000 in debt.
Oh boy, that's a lot of money. And you've built up that debt over how long?
I'd say in the last 4 or 5 years.
Okay, were you paying for something big like a car?
Yeah, actually, it bought a motorcycle, or at least a portion of that, and a lot of that went to graduate expenses. I went back to school for a second master's and ran into numerous expenses.
So at least you spent it on good things.
I would like to think so.
But now you want to pay it down, I guess.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'd like to do. And I see a preponderance of ads and internet sites dedicated to helping people get out of debt, and I can't help but wonder, you know, how valid, or, you know, my understanding is that some of them are just loans that are, you know, will keep you in debt, but
Right. And I have to tell you, I get ads, email ads every day saying, Mary Amoroso, clean up your credit. And I always want to say to them, there's nothing wrong with my credit. But they really are hawking these sites. What do you think of?
Well, I certainly, for those email ads that you get, usually at the bottom they just give you an address where you can send money to, so I wouldn't do that. But there's certainly places out there where you can find out how to pay your debts back more efficiently. If most of Jim's loans are student loans.
It sounds like he charged via credit cards. That's what the problem is.
It's probably a little of both.
Little of both. You have student loans.
I
Okay.
took out quite a few student loans, and then there are things that student loans don't cover, and
Right.
so I've got student loans and credit cards.
Now, is your monthly minimum more than you can handle?
Not at this time. As a matter of fact, I've gone to great lengths to make sure that I pay as much over top of the minimum as I possibly can.
That's good. That's good. That's a very important starting point. Any other thoughts for him?
Well, Jim, the key really is to make sure, first of all, that you're paying the least amount for this debt as possible. What are your rates on those debts?
They're not too bad, actually. I get my cards through my association with public education, and I'm a teacher, and I get decent rates. I'm talking, I think, 11%. And maybe a little bit over that.
11% is pretty good, but you could probably get even lower rates. You know what? Call your credit card banks and tell them that if they don't give you a better rate, you're going to switch and transfer your balance. That's always a good first step. And also look online at the student loan websites that talk about, you know, how you can refinance your student loans, because you might be able to stretch those out for a longer period of time. Although it's going to cost you more in interest in the long run, it might give you some relief so you can save some money to pay off those higher rate debts, which are no doubt the credit card debts.
Okay, there you go. Best of luck, Jim. We're going to go next to Alicia. Hi.
Hi.
Are you in credit card debt?
Ooh, 5 credit cards.
5 credit cards. How much?
Credit cards. I have MasterCard, Visa, Radio Shack, and Littman's Jewelry.
And how much in debt are you, Alicia?
Close to $7,000 in debt. And I am a welfare mom.
Ooh.
And I got the MasterCard and the Visa when I was in college.
Yeah.
In community college. And I went overboard. I really did. And because I have children, I wanted the best for them. And what happened? I just splurged. I just went crazy. Then when it was time to pay the bill, I paid some. And then when I didn't have the money, I just ignored it or something like that. And with the Radio Shack card and the Littman's Jewelry card, it was crazy. It was just crazy. And now I look back on it, and I'm just looking at it like, how am I going to get out of debt?
Okay, so now it sounds to me like you also haven't paid your monthly minimums. Right?
Right.
Okay, so you're, for how long?
Well, I stopped using these cards a good, maybe it was 3 years ago, something like that. So you can imagine the interest rate on these cards.
But so you haven't paid back on any of these cards in 3 years?
I've tried paying them back, and it's like when I started paying them back, bills started coming in the house, and kids started needing things.
Well, I know. It's tough. Okay, and do you have a salary now? Do you make money?
Yes, I have a part-time job working at a daycare. And
okay.
It really doesn't pay much, because as soon as I get my paycheck, I have to pay it out on the house bills.
Right. I know. It's tough. Okay, but she wants to pay back. Well, what should she do?
Well, the first thing you should do is really contact those banks and let them know that you want to pay them back, but they're going to have to work with you, because if they don't, they may leave you with no choice but to claim bankruptcy sometime in the future, and then the banks won't get paid anything. So let them know that you'll do it, but they're going to have to definitely be a little more flexible. Have you done that? Have you contacted them and told them about your situation, Alicia?
No, I haven't. I didn't even know the steps to go to, to get in contact with them.
Because it sounds like you want to pay, you want to do the right thing, and that's great. But they'll work with you.
But there's a number usually on the back of the bill? Is that where you call? Yeah,
the customer service number that's okay. On the statement and also on the back of the card. Contact them, and if the first person you get on the phone can't help you, try to speak to a supervisor. And eventually, if she can't handle the bill, she might have no choice but to consult a bankruptcy attorney.
Right, but the first step is to go back to the people who loaned you the money and try to work out a deal of some sort with them. Okay, we wish you the best of luck, Alicia. We know what it's like with a lot of kids and money going out the door. We're going next to Lena. Hi, Lena.
Hi.
Lena, hi. Yes, what's your situation?
I just have one credit card, believe it or not.
Okay.
But that credit card is like, I ran up to like $23,000.
Oh, my.
That's why I was listening to Alicia. I said, oh, God, I wish I was her.
Yeah.
But I was like using my credit card to pay off my other bills. Because I'm on Social Security.
Yeah.
So that's how I was paying my bills. And then one day I looked at it, it was $23,000.
Oh, my.
And I could pay my minimum payments at first, But then it started to get like $600, $700.
Oh, dear.
And I just couldn't pay it because I have a real high mortgage, too. But I did this to myself. That's why I didn't want to file for bankruptcy. So I had called one of those finance people so they can get your finance charges down.
Yeah.
But I have good credit, but I can't. They couldn't even put me on a budget. So I don't know, you know. It's like I'm back in the wall, you know, just backed in the wall.
And how long has it been since you paid your monthly minimum?
See, that's it. I do pay my monthly minimum. I just missed. Well, I didn't miss it. I was like $100 and some.
I see. Sure. Okay. But this is serious stuff.
Yeah, that's definitely a large debt. $23,000 on one card's a lot. What's your rate on that, Rena?
22.
Oh man, that's really expensive. And the problem here's the irony. You know, you have one card, and when that one card raises the rate so high, then you're at their mercy. There's nothing you can do. The only way really to get them to lower the rate is to get another card and transfer your balance and get a more competitive rate from someone else. But more importantly is to definitely have the personal discipline to not use any new lines of credit unless it's an emergency, and just focus on getting organized and getting a plan together to pay back that debt. Because to do that effectively, you will need other lines of credit, or you're going to have to work with them, you know, the lender directly, the bank, and call them and tell them again, you know, you want to pay it off, but 22%'s just too high. And of course, if you only have one bank and they know you're bluffing, you're not going to be able to get them to lower the rate.
But she says her credit is still good.
That's good.
So presumably she could get another card with a lower rate, but they're probably not going to give her a $23,000 credit line, you think?
No, but I would take anything I could get just to transfer the balance and save some money.
Okay.
Yeah, save anything you can. And then you're going to have some negotiation power to say, look, I transferred off $5,000. I want to transfer off the rest unless you give me a better deal. And then, of course, you don't use the new credit line to buy anything. You know, you just focus on paying back your debt and getting organized. So it's not over yet, but you know, the key here is to just focus on it. And you know, it's like when you get another vehicle. You ever have this experience? You get a new vehicle.
New car.
Yeah, you don't see it on the road, but then once you get it, you see them everywhere.
Uh-huh.
It's the same thing with your credit options. Right now, you might not see that you have many credit options because you're stuck with this one bank. But as you start to really focus in and look for those options, you're going to see they're everywhere. They're in your mailbox, they're online, they're everywhere. But as long as you handle them with discipline and care, you'll be able to use them to help you.
Okay. And actually, I think for Rena, she might benefit by a program like Debtors Anonymous, right, Ann?
As I was listening to the callers and the responses, one thing I'd like to say is we did not get into debt overnight. And we're not going to get out of debt overnight. So have faith, have hope in yourself, and if you can get to a Debtors Anonymous meeting, it might be valuable for you to not incur any new unsecured debt.
Right.
Because that's part of getting out of it, is not to incur any new debt.
Okay. Thank you so much, Ann, for your input and sharing your story with us. It lets people know you can get out of debt. You can work on it week by week, month by month. And after 2 years of being in Debtors Anonymous, you're in a much better position than you were. Thanks again for sharing your story with us. We're going to go to break. As we do, we want to ask our viewers, are your debts making your home life unhappy? Give us a call. We'll be right back. Next time on Real Life, are you or a loved one struggling with manic depression? Let us know by emailing us at our website,
www.cn8.tv. Local heroes, a child's birthday, golden anniversaries. If you're reaching a real-life milestone or know someone who is, Real Life wants to hear from you. Mail us your stories to the address on the screen or online at cn8.tv.
I purchase a lot of things on credit, but you know, I don't go beyond my credit limit. And like I said, basically, I pay it at the end of the month. So I can't afford all those interest charges, and I try to look for, you know, the low interest rates.
Welcome back to Real Life. Our question to you is credit card debt ruining your life? With us in the studio, debt management expert Scott Bilker, who is author of Credit Card and Debt Management, publisher of Debt Smart magazine. Okay, we're going to go right to the phone, Scott. We've got a lot of folks on the line who I think have credit card woes. Purnell, hi.
Hi.
Yes, what's your story?
Well, I'm 40 years old, and I separated from my husband, and I'm trying to reestablish credit. So I applied for a couple of credit cards, and they sent them to me. Well, I've been shopping, and I bought some things that are more expensive than I can really afford. Now, this is a two-part question. How do you not go and spend on these great things that you see? You see a dress, you have to have it, and you go and buy it. And then later on the bill comes.
Okay, did you hear our prior guest, Ann?
Yes.
Who was with Debtors Anonymous?
Yes.
One thing you can do is you see this fabulous dress. This is what Ann said. You see this fabulous dress, you walk out of the store and think about it for 24 hours. And think about how much you can spend in any month. I mean, do you have a budget?
Yes. Yes, I do have a budget. And the dress didn't fit into my budget.
Well, then... maybe you can't do it, or maybe you have to save up your money. That's what Ann says she does as well. If she wants something, she saves her money until she can afford it. Maybe that takes 2 months or 3 months, right?
You have to have credit cards, because what do you do when you want to secure a hotel room or rent a car?
Oh, okay, now that's fine. But you don't need credit cards to buy a dress that's too expensive, right?
Yeah,
I know. It's so hard, but that's one thing. Okay, so that's the first part of your question. What's the second part of your question?
The second part is, you still need credit cards. The lady said that she got rid of all of her credit cards. She doesn't use them.
Well, she said she doesn't use them.
And reestablishing credit, don't I need to have these cards?
Okay. Now, I think she said she scissored up a couple of her credit cards, but one thing you can do, you can use a credit card to secure a hotel room, but then you could pay it with cash, right? Right, Scott?
Oh yes, you can definitely secure it with a credit card, and it's true that it's very important to have credit cards and use them wisely, because everyone's going to look at your credit history. When you go to buy a house, the banks are going to look at your history before they're going to give you a mortgage. Even when you work for the federal government, they're going to look at your credit history and determine if you're going to get a security clearance. Because and employers too, because they don't want to put someone behind a cash register who owes $70,000 in debt and has missed payments for months. So it's important to have a good credit history. But the key here is when you ask about the dress. You know, that's a tough issue, and I don't like to tell people how to spend their money. I like to tell them how to get the best deals when they're going to finance something. But from a personal point of view, there's really no stuff I really want anymore. I mean, like Mary was saying, you think about it and then you forget about it. I mean, I think, what am I going to do with another suit or a nicer watch? I can tell the time. You know, I don't really need a Rolex watch.
Or if it's something that you really want, you save for it. I mean, that's what people used to do before credit cards, right? You save for it.
You live within your means.
Yeah.
Although it's a philosophy that's quickly disappearing in this country.
I know, but we are, you know, as bad economic times come, or poorer economic times, we are going to be up against our own credit card debt, as Purnell is.
Well, the good news is, like, 60% of people pay off their cards every month.
Right, as our lady on the street just said, she pays it off so she doesn't incur the charges. So that's a good thing. I mean, I suppose you could use a credit card if you paid it off every month.
Right. That's always the best approach.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, Purnell, we're going to go next to Lynn. Hi, Lynn.
Hi, how are you, Mary?
Fine, thanks. What's your situation?
Well, basically, I've accumulated about 10 years of debt. And it was, I guess, in about 10 years, we've accumulated about $20,000 worth of debt. We really didn't have an idea that we were in that much debt. But we went to go purchase our first home and found that when he did the credit check, we saw all these things that were sitting there, like, 10 years ago that we thought were gone by now. So we had to basically get some credit counseling. So we went back and made some arrangements with some of the creditors that we owed and made some settlements. We paid off some things. We closed out some credit cards. Some of the ones that had higher interest rates, we got rid of those. And now we're down to maybe about 4 credit cards, 2 for myself and 2 for my husband. So basically we're starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel, but it's been a really trying time for my family because, some of the things that my kids were used to doing, like vacations and summer vacations, summer schools, and things like that they haven't been able to do since we've been trying to get out of debt. So I just want to encourage anybody, if you can, basically just stay within your means, stick within your means, and if you don't really need it, it's really going to, hurt you down the line, in terms of buying things that you really don't need.
Yeah.
So we're really, I'm glad that we're almost finished, but it's just been really a trying time for my whole entire family.
Well, good for you, Lynn. Thank you for sharing your story with us. And I've heard that story from so many people. They go for the house and they see debts they haven't thought about in 10 years, 7 years, 5 years. They thought, oh, it just evaporated.
And that's why it's very important to never be late, because when you're late and the bank sees that you're late, they're going to hold that against you. Even one late payment when it comes to a mortgage. Mm-hmm. But then again, you have to be careful when you use outside help too, like credit counseling.
Right. You're a little worried about them, credit counselors, because they are basically an arm of credit card companies, or they're funded by credit card companies.
Yeah. I think of them as voluntary collection agencies, only because they do get paid by the banks. They get you to repay, but it doesn't mean it's bad. I mean, their help can be good, but you have to know that sometimes they're going to report. Most of them are going to report that you're working with them. Right. And then when you go to get a mortgage, banks can see that, and it's considered just a step above bankruptcy to be working with a credit counselor. Okay. In fact, in my email newsletter at debtsmart.com, we had a contest where the best personal story won, and the woman who won told how she was working with a credit counselor, and they told her none of this would be on her credit report, but when she did go to get a mortgage, it was there. So she had to take control of it herself and clear it all up before she was able to get her mortgage.
Okay.
So just be careful.
Be careful. We're going to go back to the phones. We have Melissa on the line. Hi.
Hi, Mary. I watch you all the time. I just love you.
Oh, thank you.
My question is, my husband and I have recently found ourselves we're out of debt. The problem is we really don't know how to budget, and I'm really worried that we're going to get back in debt. And my second question is, what are our options? I mean, I know that we don't want to just put our money in a basic savings account, but I don't know what's out there. I don't want to lose my money. I'm just really, I don't know what to do.
Okay.
Okay, when it comes to setting a budget, the first thing you really need to do is track where your spending is going. Have you done that, Melissa? Just write down every time you spend money, track it. And the best way to do it really is with a computer program, with software like Quicken, and enter every transaction.
Okay.
Do you track your transactions, or have?
No.
Okay, well, see, that's the thing. Do you have a computer?
Yes.
Okay, great. Well, you get yourself some accounting software, something like Quicken. There's a lot of things out there, Microsoft Money. I personally use Quicken. And then it'll help you balance your checkbook to make sure there's no errors. That way you don't bounce checks, which is very costly. Plus, you can enter a category for every transaction you do. When you go shopping in the grocery store, it'll be groceries. Then you can look at how much you spend each month in groceries, entertainment, going out to eat. And this will give you an idea of where you can cut and take that money and pay off your debts with it. And it'll tell you how you're spending your money, and then you can decide what's really important and where you should focus your finances.
Okay, that's part one, the budget. That's a great tip. Saving. For someone who really knows nothing about stocks and bonds and portfolios, but wants to start saving, what do? Just open a savings account, right? To at least get started.
Well, you know what's happening.
Develop the habit.
What's happening now is that people are spending 0.1% more than they're spending 1.1% more than they make. So there's no saving going on right now.
Well, but Melissa wants to do it, bless her soul.
Well, if you want to start saving, the first thing you have to look at is your debts, because it's not really worth saving any money if you owe money, unless you're saving to buy a house. There are a few exceptions, but in general, if you have debt, it's going to cost you money to save, because you're not going to get as much in interest from your savings as you will from paying off that debt.
Okay, so make sure your debt is gone, and then just set aside
whatever you're paying your debt.
Okay, there you go. Whatever you're paying for your debt, your credit cards.
Yes.
Just set that money aside in a simple savings account, and then turn yourself into a savvy investor over time. Good questions, Melissa. Best of luck. We are going to go to break. As we do, we want to ask, are you worried that you will never pay off your credit cards? Give us a call. We'll be right back. What What can you do to get out of debt? Well, stop spending. Don't incur more debt. Create a plan to pay down your bills. Track credit card and loan offers, and know what offers have better rates than your existing credit cards and loans. Pay on time, meanwhile, no matter what. Okay, welcome back to Real Life. Our topic is credit card debt ruining your life. Our guest, debt management expert Scott Bilker, author of Credit Card and Debt Management and publisher of Debt Smart magazine. We're going to go right to the phone. Scott, we have Margie on the line. Hi.
Hi.
Yeah, what's your situation?
We have a tax bill that's going to be due, and what we're trying to decide is how we're going to pay that. If we don't actually have the money to pay it. It's a large amount. Do I take it out of our mutual funds, or do I take it out of like a home equity loan, where a low line of credit, and then use the interest, as a tax deductible? How much do you have to pay? $2,500.
$2,500. Okay. So she's got some choices.
Well, nowadays you can pay your tax bill with your credit card. But when you mention the fact that you have money in mutual funds, what are the rates on your mutual funds right now? How are they doing?
They're doing pretty well. So I kind of I don't know if would be balancing out one or the other if I used the money that was in the funds. To me, it was a lot easier. It's a lot harder to save the money than it is to spend it. So it took a long time to get it in there.
Well, the only real way to know the true answer to this question is to really know the future. Because if you're going to do better in the money market than you would as far as paying the interest on your credit card, it'll be better to use your credit card. But you don't know how you're going to do in the future with your money market.
Well, she's talking home equity loan, or I guess home equity line of credit.
Yes, and yes, you can get a home equity line too. But you also mentioned that she did have money in her money market fund.
Right.
Was that a consideration, paying it that way?
Yes.
Okay, so you have those three options. Your credit card, have you considered that?
No, I don't want to do that because of the large interest.
So you have, well, I personally would rather not put my home at risk to pay a tax bill. But that's fine because, using a home equity line of credit is fine. But if the choice is between that and using your money market, then what's the rate on the home equity loan?
About 7 or 8%.
That's a good rate, and it's tax deductible.
Yes.
And your money market, now see, if your money market's going to do better than that, better than the 8, then you'll want to use the home equity line. If you don't think it's going to, then you'll want to use the money market. So it's really a guess. You have to make a choice. You have to take a gamble.
Okay, and I did have a suggestion for one of the callers about the credit card. Maybe when she opens up a credit card, that she ask them to give her a specific limit, like maybe $300 a month or $500 a month, so that she doesn't go over that amount.
That's good. Great idea.
Suggestion.
Okay, Margie. Thanks a lot. Good thought. Okay, we're going to go next to Maria. Hi.
Hi, Mary. How are you?
Fine, thanks. What's your situation?
I just wanted to tell you that as like Ann, I am part of Debtors Anonymous. I've been there for 2 years. I incurred $15,000 worth of debt over a period of 3 years, and I am debt-free right now.
Congratulations.
DA helps me spiritually. Credit card debting for me was my high. It was my alcohol. It was my drug. And it put me on the right track. And when I feel bad about myself, I have my group now and my friends to take care of it, and my family.
And I want to ask you the same question that I asked Ann. What do you do instead of shopping?
I read, I meditate, I pray, I walk, I look at the ocean, I take care of myself. I make myself a priority where before I wasn't doing that.
God bless, Maria. Good for you. And, sounds like all healthy pursuits. God bless. We're going to go next to Lisa. Hi.
Hi.
Yes, what's your situation?
Well, actually, I'm quite the opposite of Maria. I think I'm either choosing between a debt consolidation program or bankruptcy.
Oh, dear.
I'd really rather not go through bankruptcy.
And how much in debt are you?
About $28,000. And it started a long time ago. Most of it is educational, and it wasn't that bad about a year and a half ago until the interest rate started to skyrocket. And I am making the minimum monthly payments, but with my current rent, it's getting tougher and tougher each month. I've looked into a lot of debt consolidation programs, and just my gut is telling me something isn't right with the ones I've looked at. And I just wanted to know exactly maybe some positives that I should be looking for if I'm looking to choose a good program.
Now, Lisa, when you say they're educational loans, are they student loans?
No, they're not.
Okay. So what did you mean when you said they're mostly educational?
Well, that's how I got through graduate school, through credit cards.
All right. So you used it, but they weren't student loans.
They're credit cards, I think she said.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Well, what are the rates on those debts?
I think the lowest one is about 20%.
Okay.
I mean, and they've all just shot up in the past year.
Okay, so now you're thinking about a consolidation loan or bankruptcy.
I can't get a consolidation loan, but I was looking at a debt management program.
Okay, well, debt management program might be very helpful because they'll do some negotiation for you. But before you do that, because as we discussed before, that could go on your credit history and it will impact it negatively if you want to get a mortgage in the future or get new credit lines in the future. One might argue that you don't need new credit lines, but you never know what the future does hold. So contact your banks today. Give them all a call. Have you tried this? Calling them and saying that you want to work things out, but you can't pay these high rates, and that you might be left with no choice but to claim bankruptcy. Have you done that?
Not yet, no.
Do that. Do that as soon as you get off the phone with us. Give them a call and try that. And some will be flexible and some won't. So you'll have to work with them individually and see what they can do. Now, credit counselors might be able to do the same thing for you, but you might be able to do it yourself. So give it a try. You'll feel better too when you get them to change their tune and work with you.
Okay, great.
Okay, best of luck. We are going to go next to Nancy. Hi, Nancy.
Hi, how are you?
Fine, thanks. What's your story?
I was in debt, and I joined the Credit Counseling Services of South Jersey. It's a nonprofit organization, and they really helped me out a lot. I had an interview. They took all my invoices. They called and dealt with the creditors. They were able to stop my late fees if I had overdraft fees. They lowered my interest rates on the credit cards.
Good.
And I pay a minimum amount every month, and it's worked out great. And for anybody that says my credit pretty much was already ruined because I had waited so long, I hadn't paid, so I didn't want to file bankruptcy. I figured I might as well do this because if you file bankruptcy, I think that's worse. I'd like to pay back my debt. And it just seemed like it worked out good. I'm doing well, and my friend was in it. She's the one who told me about it, and she did great, and she bought a house just last year, actually.
Well, that's great, Nancy, and we're so happy you've had a good experience, and we applaud your motivation to pay back your debt, and it worked out for her. It's working out.
It stopped the creditors from calling the house, and that gives you a peace of mind, because that's always the worst thing when somebody calls. You know you owe the money, and you get embarrassed. You might get a little hot-tempered, so it really gave me a peace of mind knowing that I didn't have to deal with anybody anymore. They send you statements every month to show where your money's going, and then they also ask you to send in your invoices every 3 months so they can just check with their part, their end of it, to make sure that everything is,
it's squared up, right?
Squared out.
Well, you know what makes it effective and makes it possible that the credit's totally restored, like you said, even though it was really bad, now it's turned around, and that's because they're paying your bills and they're paying them on time. And it's great that they got you into this better position, but eventually, when you're done paying them off, you're going to be in control of your finances again. And then at that point in time, you should be able to do what they did, which is just take control and deal with the creditors and make the payments on time. And I'm sure going through this process has been very, very helpful, at least
educational.
Letting you know that it can be done.
Okay, thanks a lot for your story, Nancy. We appreciate it. We're going to go next to Genesis. Hi.
Hi.
And what's your story?
Well, I work at a bank, and I had a comment on his. He said normally when you write to your banks and request a lower rate and say, or I'll switch, they'll pretty much lower it. A lot of times I think what people don't do is they don't read like the fine print with the card member agreements and their statements, because a lot of the times the APR will get raised due to like a standard reprice to compete with the local competitive market, or if you're late one time on your payment, your APR can go from like 9% to 20%. So I think that's what a lot of it comes from, is just, the miseducation of how to use your credit.
Okay, so people aren't reading their fine print. I'm sure that's true.
Oh, yes.
But the things Genesis is pointing out, that if you have one late payment, can shoot through the roof.
Right.
And they can adjust your rate whenever to meet the competition level of the market.
Sure, they can change your rate, and yes, it's true. If you miss one payment, they're going to raise the rate through the roof. But now they've redefined what late is. It used to be a few years ago, late was like 20 days late. Now, late is 24 hours.
24, I know.
1 day late is late, and then you get hit with a $35 late fee in some cases, which is ridiculous. You know, when I first heard about the fact they're going to redefine this late time period, I thought, you know, does this give the banks an opportunity to hold the payment a day?
Right, right.
Well, you know, there's many class action lawsuits now. If you look at in those little white slips of paper that come with your bank statement.
Right, right. Oh, we didn't get to deposit it in a timely fashion.
Yes.
We're charging you $35. Okay, we are going to go to break. We will come back to wrap up in just a moment, provide you with resources. So stick with us. We'll be right back. Okay, we are wrapping up on our topic, is credit card debt ruining your life? And I want to point out to you that at www.debtsmart.com, right, Scott? That's your website. You can sign up to get a free magazine sent to you, and also for your email newsletter. So that's a really good resource. And earlier we were talking with Anne, who has gone to Debtors Anonymous, and that's www.debtorsanonymous.org. Okay, we want to go to the phones. We have Nicole on the line. Hi.
Hi.
You're a single mom having trouble.
I recently became single.
Yeah.
And I'm about $15,000 in debt. I did try a debt consolidation program, and that was still hard, but that was working. I had some trouble with the company I was with. Some payments got lost. They had to track that down and different stuff like that. And recently, since I became a single mom, I haven't been able to even pay that. I guess my question would be, what do I do now? Do I try a different debt consolidation program, or do I file bankruptcy? I feel like I don't have a choice.
It's definitely a tough situation when it comes to divorce or just becoming a single parent and having debt. What are the rates at the debts you have right now?
Some of them are high, but since I did go into the debt consolidation program, some of them were lowered to about 14%.
Okay.
Some
why didn't it work out with them? You said they lost a payment, they didn't turn out to...
I had a bank loan, and for some reason it didn't get paid for 3 or 4 months, and then the bank was pressuring me, and they had never even heard from them. According to them, they were sending payments, they were being paid.
But you can't pay those payments now?
No, I can't even afford to pay my debt consolidation.
And is there a point in the near future you think you might be able to?
Yeah.
Maybe. Well, I think you have to talk to the program, the debt consolidation program, and also maybe talk to a bankruptcy lawyer.
Yes.
We wish you the best of luck. Tough situation. Scott Bilker, thank you for being with us. Thanks to Ann. Thanks to you all.